I'll call that Paul's Budget Committee meeting to order. Y'all just have to bear with me. I yelled at Kirby Smart all Saturday.
I make a motion, you don't talk anymore, because that voice is rough.
Second.
I'll do my best RFK impression.
Could that be everybody?
This is tough.
Somebody got that.
Yeah, somebody got that.
Somebody got that.
I did.
Yeah. All right. Everybody might have got one late. We'll start with the transfers and amendments. There's a transfer. We'll need to waive the 5-day rule. So moved. Before we discuss it. So I got a motion from Frank. I need a second.
Second.
Tom Venero.
Tom B. All right. All in favor of waiving the 5-day rule? Say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. All right. I'm not reading this. I'll delegate Mr. Cartwright to read it. You won't have to hear my voice the whole time. They transferred.
The Karen's, the transfer for Karen's data processor.
Okay. This is, she's buying some upgrades on for the circuit court courtroom. She's wanting to pull money out of her reserves. That's showing us doing that. Those are her monies. But every time we pull out a reserve, we have to have the budget committee approval and the county legislative body approval. So $3,530.16 enclosed is the invoice from BIS Digital.
That's the quote.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Second. Who'd I get second? Brian? Any questions or discussions? Now, this will come out of the 39,000 fund balance, but at the end of the year, Brenda, it will come from the circuit court reserve.
The initial transfer will come out of fund balance, but at the end of the year, I'll journal entry it back from her reserve account, yes.
Yep. Any questions? Discussion?
End of the fiscal year or end of
End
the
of the
calendar
fiscal
year?
year.
End of fiscal year.
Fiscal year, okay.
There being none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Transfers made. All right. Next item is Sequatchie County Highway Department amendment
Did you want one of these?
for asphalt hot mix. That's 125,000 increase.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any
So
discussion or comments?
What are these accounts?
They'll be pulling this out of their fund balance. Initially, when they presented their budget to the county legislative body, the comment was made, if I remember correctly, it doesn't appear like you have enough money in your hot mix account. Well, until they procured state aid and some more funding and the jobs, they didn't know. There'll be several amendments coming through. Typically what we do is stack those, but anyway, he brought this in early. It was in your packet, so he's moving this out of his fund balance into the hot mix pack, and that's what this is.
131, 550 is his fund balance, right?
That's correct.
And 404 is his expenditure line, or what he can pay out of.
Correct.
Yep. Any other questions? There being none, all in favor to move this, for this amendment, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right. Next on our agenda was, that's all the transfers and amendments that I have, that I've seen. Next on the agenda was the floodplain review and inspection service contract.
Okay, let me first make the announcement that Resolution 806 will be pushed to November. Certainly a lot of questions there, and also James had to go out of town, so he is our floodplain coordinator currently. This contract, which Jennifer will be here in a few minutes, is a standard contract. The fellow that we want to hire is Gabe Yergin. It's $300 per permit, per inspection, paid for by the applicant. Now, we will simply be a flow-through entity. James, being a fee office, will collect those funds and pay them to, we'll pay them out of the general fund to Mr. Yergin. But that's only for the inspections and/or the permit that are issued in the floodplain. So this is a standard contract because it, I just wanted to get that approved, so.
Will Mr. Yergin be under other contracted services? Is that how we will expense that?
It would be out of James's other contracted
Okay, all right,
services that he has $3,000 budgeted for in that.
I just wanted to make sure the funding.
James has always done that service, but we've had no activity.
Okay.
But there's going to be some activity, you know, in the future, so,
So it'd be in James's budget.
yes,
You taking it out of 52,310 to floodplain?
$399.
52,310, 399 is what it'll come out of.
But the money will, of course, be collected by James from the applicant.
All right. So I'll need a motion and a second to approve said contract.
Also, Mr. Yergin, just FYI, is the floodplain coordinator for Marion County. So,
Do we not need to approve the resolution before we approve the contract?
not necessarily.
And then this-
We have a floodplain coordinator currently.
In James.
James Condra is our floodplain coordinator.
I guess what I'm a little uncomfortable with is, you know, there's lots of blanks in here.
Okay, $300 per permit, so, per inspection.
And that's coming from
And
the
Gage
person,
Yergin.
correct?
Pardon?
From the person that's wanting the inspection.
Correct, from the applicant.
It's a one-year contract, year-to-year renewable.
That permit fee, how was that determined? Because we went through this with the road right-of-way when we still had that in there. There were some specifics on, you know, how they got to the number.
Yeah, that's what he charges in Marion County, and that's what he said he would do ours for. So he's got the experience, does a great job down there according to the county mayor down there and other people, so.
And then I guess the other question is this gonna, I mean, I had questions when I went through this, through the resolution. I'm sure, I mean, this is the first time I'm seeing this here in a couple of days, and there's, what, how many pages of this thing? I mean, it's a long one. Is there gonna be a period where this is explained to the public before we even get
Yes.
to November?
Yes,
And when are we gonna do that?
the date's not set yet. The date's not set yet, but you are correct. There'll be a
I mean, this
public,
is, I know in my district, without even asking questions now in sections that I have questions on, I know I can't explain this to my constituents right now. I mean, I have questions, you know, I'm sure I'm not the only one at this table and on the commission that has questions about this. So, I mean, how are we gonna handle that? I guess I'm looking for the process.
yeah, there'll be a public hearing.
Okay.
So that's the main reason we're putting it off. So we determined after we put this in the packet and we got to reviewing it, that it's necessary that we do a public hearing on this. That date hasn't been determined, but that'll be determined. It'll be sometime in October or early November.
And Linda, I agree with you on the whole resolution. I have quite a few questions. I talked with James a little bit. That whole resolution and everything was generated by FEMA and sent to all the counties, from what I understand. But at the same token, I still have a lot of questions on what they're actually going to do.
So is it basically gonna be and I'll give it for instance, a house that's in the flood zone? Can they appeal that with this $300 and they go in and look at it and study it and then?
They'll have to appeal it with the TEMA
Okay.
group,
Yeah.
not
Yeah, they have to build it through TEMA.
But then he'll go and do the evaluation?
correct.
Okay.
There was a lot of questions I had around how do they determine a floodplain, right?
They do it by.
Well, they've been
100 years?
determined already.
Right.
Yes.
But what's to say they don't change it?
Well, they can appeal it and get it changed.
Right. No, I'm not talking.
That's done by,
I'm talking about I'm talking about protecting the people. I don't care what. I mean, they would have to appeal it to FEMA or TEMA to get it changed, right? But what's to say FEMA or TEMA don't come in and say, oh, that little rise that you built on, that's not high enough. That's now a floodplain because we've got more rainfall now, or whatever, right?
well, I mean, they're subject to change, but there's benchmarks already set in floodplain management, so that's where they get the original floodplain already. You know, it's certainly, if you read the resolution, and we've all got concerns with federal government, it certainly feels like overreach.
It feels like a
You know,
lot
and
to
if
me.
you read James's cover letter, from that cover letter that he wrote to each commissioner and we sent out, it appears like because we joined the National Flood Program, we don't have a choice. Well, you know, that's a question too that, so anyway, we're pushing this down the road a little bit and we'll get some more information, and I certainly want James here. He's forgotten more about this than I ever know. I just know enough to be.
What's the number of properties, like just ballpark, that this would affect?
We have about 700 parcels in our county in the floodplain. There's probably less than 100 parcels that are completely in the floodplain. Most of them have areas that have property that are out of the floodplain on those parcels, within those parcels.
Of those 700, how many of them have houses in the floodplain and how many are just
Well,
land?
I don't know that, and that's a question.
I know, I've been one piece
Yeah.
behind my house that didn't floodplain.
Now, from my
On the
under-
creek, but there's no house.
From my understanding, certainly those houses that are already there, you know, they're not going to be affected. And typically, you wouldn't hear anything anyway unless someone is using a bank for financing, things like that. Mackie and I had a conversation earlier that, you know, if you don't need financing, you could actually don't need a permit or anything.
Well, yeah, that was my question. If you're in a floodplain and you don't want to finance this and you don't want the insurance, do I have to get the permits? And is somebody going to come down after that and say, well, you failed to get a permit because your house is in this? And we've been given a mandate basically by the federal government to pass something, and I don't like it when people send me things, especially from the federal government, that says, gee, you don't have a choice in the matter. Well, we always have a choice in the matter.
And I definitely don't like the language that says if you don't comply, you're be charged a misdemeanor.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, because somebody, a person who owns a piece of property, in my opinion, owns that. And if they want to go through and build a house on it and they're not seeking, I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, the finance companies and the insurance companies, if you wish to finance or if you wish to take insurance coverage, are going to have the final say as to what you do. If they're not going to insure you, you're not going to lend the money. But for a guy who's paying cash and says, I just want to go down and build maybe a pavilion or something, I mean, none of this is defined. in that resolution.
Well, that's why the resolution's being kicked, but this contract is what's before us right now, and
I
that is...
wouldn't pass the contract until we have a resolution, otherwise we don't have a need for a contract.
Yeah,
You've got a need for a contract because we need a floodplain coordinator. We've got one now in James Condra who no longer wants to do the job because of the paperwork and everything else, the compliance. This guy's already set up, so regardless of the resolution, we still need a new floodplain coordinator.
And it's in James's budget to pay.
It's already in James's budget.
So it's a self-funding thing for this, so basically, as I'm understanding, it's a self-funding thing, it comes from the fees. So if
Correct.
nobody applies to get a floodplain exemption, then this guy
You don't
doesn't
pay,
get
him.
paid.
You don't
He
pay.
doesn't-
So he only
we're
shows,
not paying him.
He only shows up
he
upon request of
basically
the
only shows
property.
up when he's got something to go look at.
That's correct.
Oh, in that case,
But,
no problem with that.
but isn't he just he's a building inspector, right?
No.
He is
That's
a
what it-
building inspector.
So I mean, like when I'm reading through the scope of his duties, that's essentially what he's reviewing the permits, compliance with the floodplain.
That
Then
is
he's also
correct.
reviewing the drawings and other
Correct.
things that have to do with construction.
In a floodplain.
Yeah, I mean,
In the floodplain.
does James do that now, all of that? Inspect the buildings and review the plans for,
Linda, we've not had a applicant in the last 4 or 5 years, so I don't know what we did previous to that, but James has been that since 2011 when we adopted, or we voted to move into the National Flood Program.
Yeah, what comes to
So
my
wait a
mind
second,
is we
so
only
James is
had one in the
complaining of
last
too much
probably
paperwork
3
and he
years.
hasn't done any
And
in
that
4
guy, he
years?
came in, talked to James. James explained to him he was in part of a floodplain. The guy went out, he built it up even above the level of the floodplain, and James signed off on it. It
I
was
only
fine.
remember of that one instance right there in
That's
the
the only one
whole
I remember.
15 years
Yeah.
I've been here, so.
But if I understand it right, what you're really saying is James stepped aside and we
That's
got
in
to
the
get
city, and
somebody
that's a different,
to take that place.
well, that's in, they've got a different floodplain administrator, the city does. This is county.
Steve, obviously I've been on that committee for 10 years. The reason there's the change here, you're correct, we've had 3 cases in 12 years I've been on the committee. That's because we're not narcs, we're not out looking for people to bust. It's not our job. It's changing now. James will now have the obligation as the assessor of property, when he goes out and assesses the property, if he sees somebody build something in a floodplain, he's got to let the state know. So there's going to be an enforcement division now.
And they
James
won't-
doesn't want to do it, nobody wants to do it.
And they want
So hire
separation of
somebody.
duties with James.
Exactly.
so.
So it's going to be a completely different creature now that there will be a requirement for us to actually report it. Basically, it's been ignored. And unless someone comes in and makes a beef about it or has a problem or needs to build it up, we've had 3 cases in 12 years. But now James, as the assessor, is going to have to go out there, and if he sees a house being built and he knows, he's aware that's in a flood zone, he now has a requirement to report it. And nobody wants to go out and start putting misdemeanor notes on things, so we're hiring that guy to go do the dirty work. That's the end of the, that's the whole thing. There's nothing more to it.
So, back to this contract. We've had all this discussion, and I don't have a motion or a second.
We've got a motion second, I thought.
No.
No?
Motion.
Motion from Tom.
Second.
Brian? R.
Yes.
All right. We beat on this dead horse, Vaughn. Any more questions or discussions?
it talks about a regional committee, I guess, regional. But this specifically states that it's for the unincorporated areas of the county. What's the city doing? Are they?
They've got their own floodplain coordinator. Municipalities have their own, so.
That they will be under these same
Yeah, I mean,
rules, the way I understand it.
should this refer to the city since they're in the county? No, I know, we're getting into the 27 pages here.
Yeah.
We're not, this is not for the resolution, this is for the contract.
Since 80% of the town of Dunlap's in the floodplain, I'd rather.
Yeah, let's let them do it.
Yeah.
But I'll
Yeah,
Yes, there's several things down in there, I'm like, man,
80% of Dunlap is going to be charged misdemeanors because they're in the floodplain.
that's right. But several things down in there, and one of them is this Board of Zoning Appeals they're talking about it here. We don't have one.
Right.
We will wind up having to set up one if we go with all this, the way it's set up.
Yeah.
It looks so similar to the Dunlap's floodplain idea and maps.
Yeah.
Be honest with you.
Now, you're on the,
In fact, I even looked at it and I thought, well, shoot, they just copied it
Are
from
you in
the
the
Dunlap.
resolution?
You're back on the resolution, we're on just the contract.
I know it.
Let's stay on
I'll call for the
topic.
vote.
Yeah, let's stay on topic. Contract, that's what we're talking. I got a motion and a second. Any other discussions? This is a motion and a second to approve, correct? All right.
Contract only.
Contract only.
Contract only. Exactly, contract only. I have a motion and a second to approve the contract for floodplain review for inspection services. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, just gotta go to the full commission too. All right. Next on the item was Canon contract, the Sequatchie County clerk. So you guys have got it in your packet. Lana's looking to our 60-month rental agreement at $44.96 a month. Did I say that right, Lana?
Go down, one more.
I need a motion and a second.
Motion,
Is that Tommy?
yes.
Second. BW.
BW. All right. So, Lana, you want to add anything to this before we?
No, we just had, because it was a 60-month contract, it just has to be approved by you guys. We've had the same company just getting a new copier, and it's going to be cheaper monthly than it was. It was previously like 77 something a month, or 74. We've been paying that.
$74.87, that's
Yeah.
right.
So they quoted me as 44.90 something a month. instead. They were charging us before for like a certain amount of copies, and we never exceeded that, so that's why it went down, because we don't do that many copies, so, per page.
So it's like, for the life of the 60 months, it's $2,600, $2,700, roughly.
Say for about $360 a year, what she's paying
Yep.
now.
Any questions? I have a motion and a second to approve the 60-month rental agreement. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right. And I'll yield the floor to you, Mr. Cartwright.
Okay, next
Mr.
up on
Contract.
the agenda is the Charitable of Nonprofit Organizational Rules. Pulled some samples CETA has provided me. Kind of pulled up one here from Giles County, and this is, I don't know if this is something we vote on. It's certainly a recommendation. I'd like hearing from this committee on some kind of rules of engagement, so to speak, for charitable and nonprofit request. So I spoke to several commissioners about this. They kind of looked it over. It's, you know, this is pretty short and to the point, and I hope everybody got these. And I just kind of wanted to have a little discussion on what you thought of this. Certainly, we'd have to take Giles out and give and take, and I'll,
Is this for form of 501c3s.
Well, for next year, I think it's something that we could implement, and if somebody that, applies or reapplies, we could certainly, some of these rules should be implemented and followed, and I think it gives us good guidance. Several counties, most counties, I should say, have rules set up. I like Giles County. They do a lot of things right. I've been following them over the years, and anyway, just wanted to hear what this committee said. And I will bring forth a condensed version with our name on it, and we can hash it up at another meeting, but I wanted to present this to you guys and say this is where the direction I think we should go. So, got time to look at it. I guess I would say, what say you at this point?
I'm all for it.
Thank you, Linda. I knew you were. I've already spoke to Commissioner Lewandowski, so.
I think we need to, we rolled this around, and then I think we've not been doing it right for a number of years. And, I think we have a responsibility as taxpayers, and this would help people on, it's pretty clearly laid out in 59109, but I think this provides a little bit more detail. It's almost like a checklist. It's a standardized format. You don't have like 10 different types of forms coming in. Everybody does it the same way. It's easy to look over too.
Not really lengthy. I like it too. It's concise. There's one or two things I kept, we could live with or live without, but not many. I like about everything on here.
We use Giles County to model the opioid templates on, and this is one area that we're very strong in and very helpful.
If you guys are okay with it, we'll bring something forward at our next meeting that has our name, and we'll adopt that, hopefully. So, are they good with that?
So they actually put in what they want. You give them an open checkbook and say, hey, what do you want, right? Then we decide.
The county, like, under the law, we're supposed to provide them guidance, and that could be, they have some in here, there's other counties that have examples, so they know kind of what they can apply for, what's in the ballpark that we would approve.
And we kind of do that anyway. We do that verbally. We check with other counties, see what they're doing, look at their size, their activity, the number of calls, depending on what business they're in. But this actually puts it on paper and helps us document it. And if it changes year to year, we'll have these to do. So
I'm not opposed to it. I just want to see what it looks like. I didn't have really a whole lot of stuff, but the last item that you had on the agenda was the Erlanger contract.
Jennifer,
there's others.
You want to come up and sit with us? So the contract before you tonight, you've all received in your packet. Attached to the resolution, 807 will be presented tonight. We certainly didn't get everything we asked for, but that's the nature of contracts. I'm just saying this before we get into some discussion and the motion and second on this. But we've shortened the term, which I like. We have, it's a 5-year contract, but we need out of it. We have 365 days to get out of it. We've omitted the expansion option because I think, all of it's hypothetical at this point during contract signing. So they get a plan together. We can bring it back to the table and look at that separately. The rental piece that has been in there is almost $160,000 a year. taking away the maintenance on the yard, the pavement, the striping, the helipad, which runs $35,000 to $40,000 a year. You're looking at around $200,000 net on this specific contract. Jennifer, can you add any other changes that we've made?
There are some things that we, obviously, I think Linda had sent me a pretty good email, long email. I tried to respond. I think that the big thing is the triple net that I just want the commission to be really aware of. We tried to go back and forth. And did you give them the correct Exhibit B? I think the Exhibit B you had just had the exclusion, and so the actual building less the exclusion is what you're going to have a copy of.
I've got it right.
But I think the big thing that you have to, the first page, Miss Linda didn't like the word, and I agreed with her on the end right here on now therefore. So that's the first page, and then Exhibit B, we changed that. There was a question about the triple net lease, and it excluded, and I don't think I explained this very well to Ms. Lindowski. She was asking me about what's on our capital assets. It excludes things on our capital assets. And I do think that that is somewhat vague, because if you look at the capital assets, which I have, and it's Brenda pulled for us, it includes the roof, and it also includes the North Valley Medical Center building. So, it doesn't really define what they're responsible for as far as maintenance costs. So, that was language that Erlanger put in there. And Keith and I talked about what the capital asset looked like, and I do have that capital asset list. So I just want the commission to be aware of that.
And just to be transparent, we're that's a depreciable item, and it is what it is. But so far, our agreement, I know Erlanger has replaced several HVAC units over the course of these last years, and I look for them to continue to, in good faith, to do that. But certainly the building, not the attachments, but the building and the roof are on our capital asset list.
So that's 4B, the last sentence of 4B. We're talking about this capital asset list, where it says it's not covered by any repairs, costs, or expenses which are recorded on the books or records of the lessor as depreciable capital expenditures. So currently we are depreciating the roof, and then it just says building, and we're depreciating the building. So I will point that out. I do think that is probably a little vague as to what we're agreeing that they're responsible for, which could lead to some problems. I mean, there's some, Keith and I talked to Stephanie several times, and this is kind of where it ended up landing, and so I wanted to make that aware. She also asked me about the right of first refusal. If we move Puckett, then it would apply to the right of first refusal, so we would have to notify them and tell them this is what we're doing, and they would have an option to rent the space at whatever amount we are renting it to Puckett. So that is a question she asked. I'll answer any specific.
We're not charging anything.
But we're not charging anything, right? And so but that was a question she asked, so it does apply to that property.
No, I think it was a little bit different understanding when I read this. Basically, if we, we haven't really talked about Puckett too much, but whether RFP or direct contract, that kind of stuff. CTES says RFP, but if we have to go to an RFP with Puckett, and then they submit a response, and other vendors, then we would go whatever they bid. We would have to go back to the hospital, and they get 60 days, right, to either decide that they want to be in that building and here's how much they want to pay, or that's the way I read this. It was just real that it would basically complicate our issue with where we need to go with getting an ambulance service after the contract expires next year. That's what my concern was.
A couple of things. We will need to RFP the Puckett piece. You know, that will need to happen. I spoke with CTask, and we certainly will need to be looking forward to doing that. And met with Mr. Mackey, and he concurs. Now, as far as the space, Erlanger certainly, and I think I saw Stephanie in here earlier, but they've mended fences. This is according to Puckett, and I think they're working well together, and I think it's a plus for them to be in that building. I think they have helped out and will continue to do so, and that's from the word I'm getting from both sides. And I think it's advantageous for them to be right there, and that's my opinion. Now, again, we have space. We procured property to do many things there. Maybe one, a emergency services complex with 911, an ambulance combination. There's several different avenues we can look, and we'll be talking about that in the future, specifically at our strategic planning session in the spring, but in some of those planning. So, the contract, guys, that's before you, with the slight changes here and entering Exhibit B, and I agree with that also. But and Stephanie has concurred with that. Just it clarifies that Exhibit B. So I can't think of anything else.
Point of procedure. I know we're discussing this in budget. This contract's going to be voted on by the full commission. Do we need a motion as a recommendation for this contract
Yes.
coming out of budget? Is that what we're looking
For
to
the
do?
resolution, I think.
For the resolution.
Because we're voting on the resolution. The contract is attached to said resolution.
Okay.
Contract, resolution 807.
So if you vote on a resolution, you're basically accepting the contract.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they're tied together.
I don't know if the budget committee has to because it's gonna be in there, but you certainly can vote on it. It doesn't, I mean, if you don't vote on it, it doesn't. I don't know that it has to pass the budget committee to go to the full commission.
Right. That's what I was
But
trying
the
to
recommendation would be
understand.
nice.
The recommendation, that's what you're looking for, is a recommendation out of the budget committee
Or a motion
for
for the budget.
resolution, yeah. Or a
But
motion
that's
for
up to
budget
you
committee.
guys, so.
There was another point that I don't think you addressed. It was it talks about the as-is condition of the building. If we walk through there and establish what that is, because, we would want whatever that condition is to be returned in that condition at the end of the term.
They're accepting it as is.
Right,
So they're the ones saying that they're taking it as is.
right. But what is the as-is condition of the building and systems? What I'm saying is at the end of the contract, you would want the lessee to return it at least in the condition that it was received in.
And I thought that was your comment on the waste, that they were not to commit waste when you were talking about, and that was the provision that covered that.
No,
But
no,
you're wanting
something
something
different.
specific.
I'm just saying, there has to be some documentation of what that as-is building condition is and the systems.
With
Because
this
otherwise,
language,
how do you know at the end of the term? You want it back, the same, not worse, but you have to establish that as-is condition.
there's language in the contract that allows us to go in and inspect. I've been in there a lot lately. It appears to be in great shape. So now I'm not a building inspector, but that's not one of the provisions in this specific contract. Again, we're not here tonight to banter and change with Erlanger or whatever on the contract.
It's not changed. That's a county responsibility to document the as-is condition. That's really not up to
Yeah.
Erlanger at all.
Well, we can go in and have it inspected. I don't know an offhand building inspector, but we can certainly take the buildings and grounds through and do a walkthrough and see what that might be. So if that's a recommendation, we can make sure. Who's the buildings and grounds chairman? Is that you, Barger?
We'll find out tonight.
Oh, I guess we'll find out. We'll find out tonight, won't we?
Yeah.
So,
So
not a bad idea.
I got a couple of questions, but the roof in the building, we're taking it as depreciation and they're
It's
no
our-
longer
it-
responsible for.
Well, technically, they have patched the roof, I know before, it was
Yeah.
put on in 2008. You know,
Yeah, that's what now, we are responsible now, that's my
Yeah.
point, that's what I'm going at. But
because we're using depreciation as a capital asset.
Yeah, I know, but I just want to clear that we are. But then the other thing is in our packet, and I guess I'm just old lady confused here. In the packet, the occupying the 10,425 square feet, and then in what you just handed us was 15,030 square feet.
No, what it's saying is the total building, what I just handed you says the total building is 15,030 square feet. And then if you look at the
They're still
third
getting
paragraph, it
10,000.
says the lessor leased to the lessee a portion equaling 10,425.
Right, so, okay.
Because Puckett has the 4,600.
Right, it's out, yeah.
That's
Got
the-
2 occupants in the building.
And so if you look at what I did was what I didn't realize originally, what you have as Exhibit B is just the ambulance service. And Stephanie and I had talked, and she had given me the whole document, but it didn't get in there. And so we have an Exhibit B, and then the exclusion is the ambulance, which is the 4,605. That's what he just handed out.
Okay. And whenever we sign this and we start moving forward, the payment, will it, I thought I saw it somewhere way back when, but I couldn't find it today. The rental for the year, is that monthly or?
It's monthly.
It's paid monthly. I don't know where I thought it was paid annually in a lump sum, but that's not, I couldn't find it today.
Well, it says annual base rent amount equal to $15 per usable square foot. That would be 3A.
Okay.
And then, in B, it says all rental payments will be paid in advance in 12 equal installments. So that may be, it's saying annual, and then it divides it out in 12 equal installments. And that's on page 3.
Okay, I didn't see that. And on page 7, the default, just because I saw it here, the non-payment is when due. And does that mean if they don't pay on due dates monthly, is there a problem? Or are we just gonna go back to $1 and leave it alone? Or
Well,
I'm just asking.
Yeah, if they don't pay, which they, we did security up there for years, they never missed pay, they actually paid early for years and years, but if they don't pay, you can bet Brenda will be on the phone with them, and if that doesn't work, I'll certainly be on the phone with them.
I think we can forego a recommendation from the budget committee and take this to the full commission.
Yeah.
But what I want to hear from county executive, what is your recommendation to the budget committee and the full commission on this contract? What do you want to see happen at the county executive? What do you think is in the best interest of us right now?
Well, certainly it's my recommendation that we pass 807. I mean, we're getting $1 a year, spending $40,000 to $50,000 a year on the place. I mean, you're looking at, in 5 years, $5 and then spending $250,000 potentially, or netting $1 million. So to me, it's a no-brainer. But
With no additional commitment to increase services, especially with our growth. So, I mean, I think that's a caveat.
this is a building lease, land lease,
Right,
not a service agreement. So.
right. And then the $15 per square foot, that's not even fair market value.
Yeah, which,
So, I mean, it's basically, we heard from the competitor that, and then other information that, basically it's more than that, but they committed to, investment to increase services. I mean, it was still in a lease, but that's why they wanted the extra space. That's why it was at $15 per square foot.
Well,
This is $15 per square foot without any additional services mentioned. I understand it's not a service contract, but the expansion was going to go into the other building for those services. So, I mean, it's kind of a
point
no-brainer.
taken, point taken.
Yeah.
All right.
So your recommendation, Keith, is even with paragraph 9 in it?
It is. It is. Because, again, it's the money piece for us. I mean, just the overall cost after 5 years. If we're not happy after a year with something, see something going south, we have the option to opt out. And then we, you know, at that point, we go back to an RFP. If this body, the county legislative body, decides as a whole to do that, you know, but I certainly am not looking forward to going through what we went through months ago. So, I mean, for me, it's the overall look at.
A good RFP process is good, not one that is muddy. So you're happy with the fair market value as well?
The fair market value is low, but what I look at is the service that they provide for our community there in at that site.
Not saying anything about service. I want to rent stuff from you.
The value, I understand the value.
I want to write my own lease with you.
Tommy.
The reality of the situation is sometimes you're presented with a set of facts. The community overwhelmingly, at least in my opinion, responded that they want Erlanger to stay. Erlanger is staying unless this commission wants to throw them out on the streets. I'm not going to vote for that. So what it comes down to tonight, with all the different bantering that we've done before, we're voting for $1 for 5, or in perpetuity, unless we toss it, or do an RFP, or $156,000. I'm not going to burn the taxpayers another day for $1. When I've got a contract in front of me that is not perfect. The reality is, Erlanger is here providing services. We vote for it. There is out provisions. They've shortened the contract. I've heard rumors for years that Erlanger is going to disappear. They're still here. If they disappear, then we don't have to worry about the contract, right? They go somewhere, they go defunct, whatever it is. But we're here. So again, I said this the last time, my vote is, without looking at the specific things of the contract which I don't like, $1, $156,000. We have a burden, we have a responsibility to taxpayers. That's what's in front of us unless we decide to take another whole position. That's not the position I'm going to take. So my vote will be the same as last time. Nothing's changed except the contract got a little bit better. The only thing that's changed is we lost 2 months of rent. So we can keep doing that for in perpetuity and vote no again tonight and collect $1. So that's my position going into the full commission.
That's what I meant.
The thing that still concerns me is the right of first refusal, where the city won't be able to rent the ambulance building or the Williams property without, I mean, it's complicated the way this would have to work then, which complicates the RFP.
Okay. Well,
Do we have an opportunity for public comment on this?
yeah.
Yes.
You can have a minute or so.
I'll be brief with that.
Because we're fixing to shut her down.
Right. As a taxpayer in this county and a woman who manages commercial property in another state, 4 years ago I put a roof on a building about the size of this one. It cost me $95,000. Those buildings last between 20 and 40, the roofs last between 20 and 40 years. It was repaired in 2008. You know, it's not a brand new roof. I think that you're potentially looking at spending the first year's lease money on a roof. I don't think it's going to be income to the county, but expense. I also think that it is about half of market value. The other competitor was offering huge improvements on the building and taking over responsibility for all the physical plant and paying half of market value. This entity is not offering that, and I think that it's a ripoff to the community. Thank you.
All right. Any other comments? I'll ask you again, do we need to pass a motion here? Or are we just going to do it in the commission?
Take it to full commission.
We'll just take
Take it to the full commission.
That's my opinion.
All right.
You're the chairman.
Then all discussion is hereby null and void, and this meeting is adjourned.
We want you to vote no on this contract. Please. I know.